Today, these members of the opposition speak of accountability. The first speaker in the opposition, I must appoint, he spoke of mangroves. If you were listening in my speech, I spoke of green strategies related to nature resilience, and also you speak of accountability, and also no. They also Shelby Williams, the speaker, she's straight from the topic a lot. You mentioned river statistics. We are speaking of sea defense, reallocation of the capital of Guyana. This requires time. This requires money. This requires time and also money. Did you?
Yes, honorable member.
I rise on the point of order.
What is your point of order?
My name is Honorable Shelby Williams.
Honorable member, that is not a point of order. Honorable member, please proceed.
My apologies, Honorable Shelby Williams. You made mention of Kokwani and Rockstone. Madam, we are speaking of sea defense. You are straying from the topic. You speak of reallocation of the capital of Guyana. Did you take into mind the time and the money needed for this? This is the largest and most developed city in Guyana. Did you take in mind that this would take a very big toll? Taking into consideration we are a growing economy. We know that. But you can't avoid this topic for very long. According to, where is it? I can't find this. Sorry, apologies. According to some research, I am not finding the page, I apologize, but by the 22nd century, the sea level will rise by an estimated 1.3 meters. Pardon me?
Don't listen, continue. Honorable members, when you're speaking, please remember, direct your comments to me, not to the other side.
My apologies. Madam Chair and fellow parliamentarians, I ask that we work as one and unite towards empowering this motion, actualizing it, and ultimately securing a safer and healthier future for Guyana and her people. This is a land known for its abundance of water. Let us not, I repeat, fall victim to its catastrophic abilities and the devastating effects of the sea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable member. That concludes the debate on the motion. I now put the question. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those in favor, say no.
Division. No.
The noes, sorry, division, Mr. Clerk. Honorable members, please remember there will be silence through the division.
Miss Shelby Williams.
No.
Mr. Devikanan Kumar.
No.
Miss Renetta White.
No.
Mr. Akeem Stobi,
No.
Ms. Ellen Gopal,
No.
Mr. Emmanuel Wilson,
No.
Mr. Joshua Forrester, no. Ms. Adeti McCalmont,
No.
Ms. Kanisha Primo,
No.
Ms. Kelly Kelman,
No.
Mr. Daniel McCalmont,
No.
Ms. Andrea Marslow,
No.
Ms. Narima Ali,
No.
Ms. Veronica Wilson,
No.
Ms. Natalia Rizal Miraj,
No.
Mr. Andrew King,
No.
Ms. Tatiana Norton,
No.
Mr. Charles Amir,
No.
Ms. Nakosha Bob,
No.
Mr. Sanjay Chandario,
No.
Mr. Limar Williams,
No.
Ms. Carissa McLeod,
No.
Ms. Deomini Ramluchan,
Aye.
Ms. Zion Kelman,
Aye.
Mr. Ricardo Kumar,
Aye.
Ms. Jasmine Hackett,
Aye.
Ms. Trafiona Peters,
Aye.
Ms. Shakila Ross,
Aye.
Ms. Saya Prasad,
Aye.
Ms. Aniza Ali,
Aye.
Ms. Cindy Saukinandan,
Aye.
Ms. Cassia Albert,
Aye.
Ms. Sunita Susankar,
Aye.
Ms. Yanesia Easton,
Yes.
Mr. Aaron Henry,
Yes.
Mr. Lavendra Prasad,
Aye.
Ms. Brina Rai,
Aye.
Ms. Unica Sanchara,
Aye.
Ms. Risa Roberts,
Aye.
Mr. Joel Narain,
Aye.
Ms. Veron Bourne,
Aye.
Ms. Shante Eastman,
Aye.
Mr. Marlon Joseph,
Aye.
Mr. Emmanuel Asano,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholas Sagadaya.
Aye.
Everybody votes. Madam Speaker, 23 members voted in favor of the motion, 22 members voted against the motion, and no member declined.
Honorable members, the motion is carried. Honorable members, allow me to recognize Honorable Amanda Walton, member of the National Assembly. Ms. Clerk.
Private members' business motions.
Honorable members, the first motion on the private members' business stands in the name of the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Carissa McCrew. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I, Carissa McClure, rise to move the motion in my name titled Increasing Accessibility to Programs for Special Needs Youth. Picture this, a world of opportunities, a realm of inclusivity, where every individual's potential is cherished and harnessed to the fullest. Today, I stand before you not as a mere speaker, but as a voice for those whose struggles often go unnoticed. This motion beckons us to reshape our society into one of empowerment and equal rights. Before we delve into the heart of this proposition, let me transport you into the vivid realm of one individual's reality by sharing the words of poet Matilda Baraban, an advocate for persons with disabilities. Don't pin it on my condition, pin it on the discrimination. Just like the builders who constructed roads without drop curbs and the fact that there is no way of knowing where the roads have them. So I have to pause and navigate my route rigorously. Or the printers who didn't design a Braille alternative for menus and books and packages. So I have to get someone to read the contents out and have certitude that they are accurate. What about the people who, when there's an important announcement, didn't think to have subtitles or a sign language interpreter? So my independence is snatched and I feel like I've been out on a murder mystery board game. I've learned to shine light on the things that put me at a disadvantage. That's why I don't call it a disability. That's not the problem. Your outlook is. These poignant words serve as an echoing reminder of the systemic gaps that must be bridged. This motion is not just a proposal. It is a pledge to Guyanese and a commitment to inclusivity that our society so profoundly craves. Our first whereas clause references the importance of creating an inclusive educational environment that caters to the diverse needs of youth across Guyana. Why is this important? The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, outlines that every child has the right, let me go slow. Every child has the right to inclusive education and learning. The organization stated that, and I quote, children with disabilities are often overlooked in policy making, limiting their access to education and their ability to participate in social, economic, and political life, end quote. Madam Speaker, allow me to enlighten this House by referencing the Disabilities Act Section 16A, which states, quote unquote, the minister responsible for education shall promote the integration of students with disabilities into the regular schools and learning institutions. Madam Speaker, this act has not been amended since 2010. For 13 years, the government has demonstrated a level of comfort and difference even with the fact that though they urge inclusivity, they have not fostered a truly inclusive environment. Close your eyes and imagine this. A country on the brink of development has advocated for an educational system that aligns with international standards. Yet, at their primary institution for training teachers, there is no course that offers training on sign language. Keep your eyes closed and imagine, in that same utopia, almost none of its secondary schools have ramps or elevators for students with wheelchairs. The textbooks distributed by the ministries have no Braille translations, and then to make it worse, the legislators sit high and mighty in the very chamber that is inaccessible for persons with wheelchairs. Now open your eyes and look around. This is our reality. This is Guyana. But today, we hold the key for change in our hands. What can we do about it? Madam Speaker, this is not nearly all. Allow me to bring your attention to the faces behind the numbers, the stories within the statistics. It was less than a year ago that the Sabra News painted a vivid picture of the challenges faced by our youth with disabilities. The article dated December 14, 2022 was titled, Youth with Disabilities Advocate for Improved Quality of Life Opportunities. In this article, these young persons begged the government for accessible public transportation. They begged for ease of access to public buildings. They begged for employment without discrimination. These are not mere requests, they are cries for dignity, for a chance to traverse the world with their heads held high. Finally, we stand here today not as opponents, but as collaborators, ready to carve a path toward a Guyana that shines as a beacon of equity and promise. It is on this basis that we, the opposition, urge you all, honorable members, not to let petty semantics like government and opposition hinder you today from making the best decision for our Guyanese community of youth with disabilities. And that is ensuring that this motion is given your full support. I am confident that the members of the government cannot and will not in good conscience possibly vote against this motion. So together, let us cast our votes in favor of a motion that isn't just ink on paper, but a testament to our unwavering commitment to a brighter tomorrow. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable member, for that vibrant and captivating speech. Is there a seconder? Is there a seconder for the motion?
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. I would like to second the motion as Minister of Legal Affairs, Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs.
Honorable members, the motion is proposed. Honorable Ricardo Kumar, Minister within the Ministry of Public Works. The stand is yours.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Today, I rise in this honorable house to oppose this motion. Before beginning my presentation, I would like to make mention that my ministry is currently in the elementary works in making this chamber special needs friendly. It is something we are looking at. Today, Madam Speaker, I wish to acknowledge that this motion is one that is simply unnecessary. And this is my opportunity to highlight what my ministry has done regarding people with disability in our country, Guyana. We acknowledge this motion and will continue to work around the clock on this situation. My ministry is ensuring that traffic lights be built at intersections that are used by visually impaired persons and that are retrofitted with devices to give an audible signal when it is time to cross the road. Made public to the media, my ministry has also committed to having a pedestrian crossing at intersections frequented by blind persons modified to have tactile strips to help with navigation back in the year 2020, according to the Guyana Times. According to the motion, be it resolved, the ministry's upcoming goal is to enhance facilities for disabled youths. I, minister within this relevant ministry, strongly say we have been doing a lot for special needs and will continue to do more. We aim to improve the physical condition at schools to provide a comfortable and safe environment for teachers and special needs youths. It will continue to encourage provision of necessary resources to ensure the ongoing maintenance and protection of schools, centers, and agencies. We are already committed to providing the relevant equipment for special needs institutions and creating a dedicated transportation service for children with special needs. Public Works Ministry, my ministry, will continue to provide infrastructure for special need youths to better their educational, social, and athletic skills. By doing this, it would prevent problems that impaired teens face with, for example, anxiety, depression, and many more. There would also be the provision of these facilities not only in the town side and the city areas, but also within the interior regions, which would solve the problem of persons traveling with disabilities. To bring to closure, Madam Speaker, let me be clear. We support the initiative of this motion, but we oppose this motion itself. And my ministry adequately functions and will continue to function. Madam Speaker, I wish the opposition would keep updated with the current events. Thank you, Madam Speaker. God bless Guyana.
Thank you, Minister within the Ministry of Public Works. Honorable Ellen Gopal, Shadow Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport. You may rise.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, I stand in full support of the motion titled Increase Accessibility to Programs for Special Needs Youth. This motion is a call to action to ensure that youths with disabilities are not left on the sidelines, but are given a rightful place in education, sports, and cultural activities. Madam Speaker, you don't have to look far and wide to see the barriers that exist. Take a good look around this room. At the 8th Annual Youth Parliament, where is the sign language translator for the hearing impaired youths who are doing the like? Madam Speaker, according to the Persons with Disabilities Act, Chapter 3605, Subpart 6, Section E, the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports is duty bound to institute programs at all levels, ensuring access for every youth with the National Commission of Disability. But where, Madam Speaker, is this commitment evident in the August National Sports Calendar? On a national scale, a poster proudly trumpeting national sports was disseminated, yet not a single event tailored for special needs youth was featured. Our honorable members on the other side are eager to relax and chant within the confines of their homes. This year is our year for the Guyana Amazon Youth Warriors, while the special needs youth must remain at home and cry, when is our year? Our honorable members must understand that our society is as strong as its weakest link. When we need to uplift those who are most vulnerable, we must elevate our entire nation. Madam Speaker, according to Orbis published a report titled Fighting Blindness in Guyana. In 2019, there are around 14,000 persons who are visually impaired and 3,000 people are almost blind. Madam Speaker, the essence of this problem is not just about statistics or numbers. It is about giving every young person a chance to flourish. According to an article published by Starbrook News last December 14th, at the inaugural National Youth with Disabilities Conference, youths are still calling for their inherent rights. They are calling to be represented on the President's National Youth Advisory Council and meaningfully engage with the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports. Madam Speaker, this oversight has been happening time and time again on a national scale. What tricks and gimmicks does the government intend to bring today to say if they don't care on a national scale, then they care at the grassroots level? The youths are waking up and realizing that the government is failing them. They recognize that certain things aren't set up for equal access to everyone. Madam Speaker, let us examine what other signatory countries of the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities are doing compared to Guyana. Let them draw inspiration from the Deaf Dance competition launched by Jamaica's Ministry of Culture and Sports since 2006, which instilled confidence within the deaf community. Madam Speaker, while we can look to international partners and other countries for solutions, I firmly believe the best solutions can be found right here in Guyana. We have the resources and we have the talent. I can stand here and expose these deficiencies all day, and the government will try to come and highlight the 1 or 2 facilities here and there that they were pressured to have accessible. Most importantly, Madam Speaker, we need a community-led approach. We should prioritize a community-led fund for youths with disabilities to choose what they believe is the biggest priority. This fund could be matched with international donors and other NGOs to leverage their expertise, interest, and energy, not matched with favorites, friends, and family. Madam Speaker, I wish to remind the honorable members that when they signed their oath of office on the 17th of August, they made a pledge to execute their duties without fear or favor. And it is under these deficiencies, I strongly encourage them to vote for the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Shadow Minister. Honorable Shakila Ross, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport. You may rise.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. The inclusion of all youths is not a trend. It is a necessity. A quote by Sadia Yahya, former youth parliamentarian. In my capacity as Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, I wholeheartedly acknowledge the motion proposed. Specifically, Section 2, which speaks to the accessibility of cultural and athletic venues throughout the regions. Permit me, Madam Speaker, to redirect the focus of this room to approaches that are more aligned with the One Guyana goal, whereby we explore alternative strategies to be built upon the existing initiatives to avoid the duplication of effort, ensuring the efficient and impactful utilization of our resources. The objective of my ministry is to create a diverse array of cultural, youth, and athletic initiatives that are specifically tailored for the unique requirements of individuals with various impairments. Made public via the media by the Guyana Chronicle in 2021, our national cyclist Walter Stewart gained global recognition as he proudly represented our nation on the shores of Tokyo, ordained in our distinctive national colors. Walter exemplifies resilience, determination, and talent, proving that a disability does not define one's potential nor limit their achievements. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the development of inclusive strategies for members of the special needs community necessitates thorough and deliberate methodology. As we proceed, it is imperative to comprehend that culture and sport will allow the special needs community to explore and appreciate their culture, as well as develop vital life skills that contribute to personal development and integration. To cultivate an inclusive and diverse environment, my ministry is dedicated to executing a comprehensive four-part strategy comprising of a range of initiatives. Following much investigation, these measures have been formulated with the objective of ensuring equitable possibilities, fostering cultural enrichment, advancing inclusion within the domains of sport, and cultivating greater awareness amongst persons. Sports, communication, and accessibility are three subsections of the 2010 Persons with Disability Act that ought to be thoroughly reevaluated to accomplish these goals. Firstly, the provision of accessible infrastructure and facilities. My ministry is committed under the mandation of the 2010 Act to the adaptation and creation of facilities, sites, and equipment that accommodates a diverse spectrum of impairments. This initiative will serve to ensure the accessibility through the employment of the universal design principle as outlined in Action Line 2, subsection 6 of the 2009 Council of Europe Disability Action Plan. Additionally, by means of implementing training and sensitization programs, we will be able to empower professionals and volunteers who wish to instruct and inspire individuals within the special needs community on culture and sport. The objective of this merit is to provide stakeholders with comprehensible knowledge and optimal strategies within a given environment. This is in accordance with clauses C and E of subsection 6 pertaining to sports and recreation within the 2010 Act. Furthermore, the enactment of inclusive programs such as events and courses will promote participation and skill advancement. It is also imperative to employ a variety of mediums such as Braille, sign language, and easily comprehensible information whilst raising awareness. Conclusively, partnership and collaboration with organizations that specialize in disabilities is vital for the enhancement of our existing resources and knowledge. In essence, to achieve the One Guyana goal, we must build upon the existing initiatives. My plan is not only compliant, but is also proactive in the embracing the spirit of the law. Through the provision of equitable opportunities in education, culture, and sport, my ministry will facilitate the empowerment of young special needs individuals, enabling them to realize their utmost capabilities to make substantial contributions to the advancement and progression of our nation. Madam Speaker, I rise on behalf of the government in acknowledgement of the need for accessibility for the special needs community. But I stand firm in my credence that this motion is evidence of the opposition's lack of the mental capacity to thoroughly do investigations. Madam Speaker, I am no teacher by profession.
Madam Speaker, I rise to ask for an extension of time for the honorable member to continue speaking. Permission is granted, 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am no teacher by profession, yet here I stand educating those who wish to be called parliamentarians. Madam Speaker, how dare they insult the efforts of the ministries that have been working since 2010? Madam Speaker, how dare they make mockery of the intelligence of this honorable houses and the act that was passed in 2010? Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, their failure to diligently investigate the issue while drafting this motion is proof that they are dead from the neck up. Madam Speaker, I, the Honorable Shakila Ross of Ministerial.
Honorable member, I ask that you withdraw that statement. It is unparliamentary.
My apologies, Madam Speaker. Their failure to investigate the issue while drafting the motion is proven that they lack.
You have to say you withdraw.
Oh, my apologies. I withdraw the statement. Honorable Madam Speaker, I stand firm in my resolution that my four-part plan, once implemented, will be a major step of inclusivity for the special needs community. But this motion that has been proposed is of redundancy because the acts already have been passed. Thank you.
Honorable Member. Honorable Natalia Rasal Maraj, Shadow Minister of Education, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, honorable members, allow my voice to echo in this noble house. As I say, all Guyanese have rights: a right to life, a right to a name, a right to an education. Fellow advocates for inclusion, I rise today in support of the motion titled Increased Accessibility to Programs for Special Need Youths, which is aimed at increasing assistance and encouraging greater inclusion for youths with special needs. Every single youth, regardless of talent or impairment, is entitled to equal opportunities, equal access to quality education, and the opportunity to actively engage in society activities. According to an article entitled The Education of Individuals with Disabilities in Guyana, an overview by Brigham University, published July 28, 2018, I quote, 46,419 Guyanese are living with some form of disability. And as of today, there are only 10 special education needs schools in Guyana. According to a survey conducted in June 2018 by the Commission on Disability, 42% of youths had never attended a school. Madam Speaker, if reality projects that 42% of special need youths is yet to attend school, then under no circumstance should we stand proudly and say that every Guyanese has an equal right to education. In regards of youth with visual or hearing impairment, attending public schools with a communication barrier between teacher and student, the teaching learning process becomes strained on both parties. This alone, Madam Speaker, is a clear indication that our teachers must be effectively trained to meet the needs of all students under his or her care. The Cyril Potter's College of Education offers special education courses, such as Foundation of Special Education. As far back as 2004, it was on the curriculum. However, these courses are only based on diagnosis and treatment. Understanding the mind is a positive, but where are the courses that will equip our teachers to better assist youth with physical impairments? The fact remains that there are no programs offered that teach sign language or Braille. Madam Speaker, without properly educating our teachers, we are in turn failing our youths under their care. It is clear that the courses offered at CPC are not sufficient to substantially satisfy the needs of inclusive education. With this deficiency, youths with physical impairment that are in public school will be limited. Madam Speaker, turning our eyes internationally to Colombia, the Colombia's Teachers College is one that have taken all the above into consideration. According to the website colombia.edu, the college offers courses designed for communication with students who have a physical disability or impairment, including hearing impairment, etc. They have designed specific programs, one of them namely, quote, Program of Education for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, unquote, with the aim of preparing teachers who will address the educational and literacy needs of these special children and youths under their care. Madam Speaker, the urgency to increase the accessibility to programs for special need youths is direly warranted in order for all Guyanese to keep up with an ever-changing society. Every single Guyanese is filled with potential and can most certainly accomplish great things. Madam Speaker, consider the case of a 14-year-old student of Stellenline Path Secondary who is visually impaired. She is forced to attend a school that is not tailored to her special education needs. On the 12th of August, 2023, I spoke with one of her teachers who related the difficulties he observes in his classes. I mean, it is no easy task to assess a visually impaired student and simultaneously supervise 29 other students. Madam Speaker, honorable members, I implore you, most of the government might vote no towards this motion because the opposition is the one who proposes this motion. But putting biases aside, you aren't just saying no to this motion. You are turning a blind eye to a disabled child who's reaching their hand out for help. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? You want to be a box on the visually impaired child who is seeking and begging for your assistance. Honorable members, I plead with you, do not fail our youth. Do not fail them. Do not fail these children who are the reasons, and these people who are the reason that you are in these chairs today. Do not fail them. Do not fail them. I beg, I plead. They're our children. They're part of Guyana. Do not fail them. Please think when you're about to vote for this motion. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Eunicia Sancharo, Minister of Education, you may rise.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is with great disillusion that I explore the redundant nature of this motion put forward by the opposition in regards to my ministry. That is the Ministry of Education. Let it be acknowledged that the Honorable Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, and the general public have not afforded their time to witness the opposition's anemic attempt to support such a proposal. Instead, allow my speech to be an informative measure of the subject at hand. Now, the government of Guyana believes that disability inclusion is not discretionary. It is a must. So allow me, Madam Speaker, to inculcate the members of the opposition on the successful initiatives made by the Ministry of Education that provides our nation educators with specialized trainings in inclusive practices for the development and health of our youths with disabilities. While we do appreciate the opposition's efforts and thoughts, perhaps if thorough research was done, it would have been noted that the Surapata College of Education provides an associate's degree training for teachers in special education. Now, this training consists of 16 courses for special ed. Now, and these courses are deliberately developed to cater for the needs of special educational youths with disabilities. Among them are Foundations in Special Education 1, Behavioral Analysis and Classroom Measurement, Special Education Early Development, Childhood Development, Social Construction of Disability, Reading Instruction for Students with Diverse Learning Needs, Special Ed Technology for Teaching and Learning, plus 10 others. Madam Speaker, with the attainability of such a diverse and enriched special education training program, it is evident that the Surapata College of Education is, in fact, playing its part in producing professionally trained special ed teachers for our education system. So this just leaves me to ask to the opposition, did you not do your homework? Accessibility of education for persons with disabilities has been one of the ministry's prioritized goals over the years. So we can see this through our efforts to ensure that each administrative region of Guyana is afforded a special education classroom, a special education center, or a special education school. In 2019, it was stated that Guyana has 10 special education schools and 3 special education classrooms. However, those numbers have increased since then. Now, there is a regional special education needs, disability, diagnostic, and treatment center commissioned right in the compound of CPCE, which serves to provide effective care and learning opportunities for children, adolescents, and youths with disabilities. In addition to the facilities available for educational growth for these youths, there have also been many outreaches conducted by the ministry, some of which include the recent initiative to train 107 nursery educators to better effectively identify and support students with special education needs. And the Autism Acceptance Outreach is hosted by the Ministry of Education and the National Center for Educational Resource Development. But now, we have not stopped there. For years, our ministry have been making collaborative efforts to provide learning opportunities for our disadvantaged youths to be involved in special education programs. The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Guyana Council of Organization for Persons with Disabilities, has made it possible for these youths to write their CSEC examination at or after the required age for the sitting of that national exam, because we are a government that recognizes the struggle of our youths living with disabilities, and we have set things in place for them to sit that exam when they are ready for absolutely free. Let me repeat, for absolutely free. Now, Madam Speaker, according to Aslam Richards, a senior educator at the St. Barnabas School for Special Needs, related that the Unit of the Blind through the Ministry of Education has integrated children with visual impairments into nursery schools right up to secondary educational levels. Now, the integration of these children into the mainstream schools are allowing them equal opportunities at learning. Madam Speaker, I would like to ask the members of the opposition to redefine inclusiveness without stating all the strategies that the Ministry of Education has done, or daring suggest active engagement without the use of strategies and techniques that have been instated already, of which I'm confident they cannot. However, if the opposition were to present amendments to the Education Act with whereas clauses of precision and depth, then and only then would the government consider moving this motion.
Honorable member, your time is up. Honorable Emmanuel Wilson, Shadow Minister of Human Services and Social Security. The floor is yours.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Honorable members of this noble house, I rise today to address a topic of great significance: the diverse needs of persons with disability and the critical role of skill development and ensuring their empowerment and inclusion within our society. I pose a question to the noble house, Madam Speaker. We all have a legacy that we want to leave behind when we pass. So my question to you is, what legacy do you want to leave when you pass? Is it one of indifference or one of empowerment for future generations to come? Madam Speaker, it's our moral responsibility to create an environment that promotes the well-being and equality for all citizens, regardless of their abilities. As our national pledge reminds us, to love my fellow citizens and to dedicate my energies towards the happiness and prosperity of Guyana. And I believe each and every Guyanese citizen should be able to exercise that right. Madam Speaker, persons with disabilities form a significant segment of our population. According to SAGE's journal, Guyana stands at a population of around 814,542 persons. And of that number, Madam Speaker, 48,419 of them are living with a disability. And that number can never be ignored. Madam Speaker, I'm not finished. 5,842 children under the age of 15 living with a disability and the unique needs must not be overlooked. By recognizing and providing tailored support, we enable them to contribute meaningfully to our society. For example, our annual athletics championship, as simple as implementing races that involve our disabled students, can be a small step to integrating them seamlessly into society. I'm sure, Madam Speaker, some of us, if not all of us here, have encountered someone with disability. And we're keeping with that statement, skills, development, and technical training that accommodates various impairments, be it visual, auditory, mobility, and cognitive disabilities, plays a pivotal role in transforming lives for persons with disabilities. Acquiring new skills not only enhances their employability, they also boosts their self-confidence and sense of purpose. Question to this noble house again, Madam Speaker. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to live a life of purpose? We all are here sitting today trying to figure out what our purpose is. Think of the person laying at home not being able to exercise that right. By implementing inclusive training programs, we equip them with the necessary tools to overcome the challenges and seamlessly integrate into the workforce. And in turn, that benefits our economy and social fabric. The United Nations Department of Economics and Social Affairs speaks on disabled youth being amongst the most poorest and marginalized people to date. In addition, Madam Speaker, it is crucial to invest in accessible training facilities because too many of our training facilities do not cater for people living with disabilities, and that cannot continue. These spaces and the environment around it should be equipped and to cater for persons with various disabilities. Because Lord knows, Madam Speaker, our visually impaired citizens can't walk the streets of Guyana safely. Madam Speaker, collaborations among the government agencies, private sectors, and non-governmental organizations is paramount, not only to host big shows when the Guyanese citizens get bored. A concerted effort will allow us to create comprehensive policies that address the various challenges that by persons with disabilities face. This involves providing financial incentives to business that hire persons with a disability and establishing mentorship programs and providing accessible devices. Not only, but also, we promote awareness that change the perception and misconception surrounding disability, fostering a more inclusive society that values diversity. By doing so, we create an atmosphere of acceptance and enables persons with disability to fully participate in all aspects of life. Finally, Madam Speaker, the journey towards a more inclusive society requires our unwavering commitment. Recognizing diverse needs of persons with disability is not just an ethical obligation, but a strategic imperative. By embracing their potential. Thank you.
Honorable Member, thank you. Honorable Honorable Sai Prasad, Minister of Human Service and Social Security, you may proceed.
Madam Speaker, I rise to address the opposition in the motion they have moved. Firstly, I would like to commend the opposition that I believe they are fully capable and just in their efforts thus far. Allow me to nucleate to this Honorable House on the projects my ministry has undertaken to address the issues of providing accessible programs for special needs youths. The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security is fully aware of the challenges our youths with disabilities face when navigating conventional systems. Under this awareness, my ministry has devised effective programs and projects, which I will now share with this Honorable House. Beginning, Madam Speaker, under the leadership of my ministry, the state-of-the-art learning lab was commissioned in Mahaica in June 2023. This institution provides a safe and comprehensive space for our youths with disabilities to learn valuable skills. We have created living facilities for persons with special needs with plans to turn the surrounding areas into additional spaces for persons with disabilities to reside and become educated. Notably, my ministry has introduced the innovative job access with speech screen reading software to aid the visually impaired, allowing them to better adapt to the modern world by helping them to access information, navigating interfaces, use productivity softwares, communicate, and access educational resources. As of August 2023, we are training individuals to use the JAWS software in a record 9 days. Everyone in this parliament has made this a possibility, and that deserves a round of applause. The ministry has successfully promoted a national classroom for autistic children. The waterfalls recorded 101 children identified for special education needs services in regions 1, 4, and 9, bringing the total number of children receiving SEND services to 192. In addition, 706 persons commenced training in various areas to enhance SEND services. Further, Madam Speaker, we are rigorously pushing the public assistance program. In fact, over the years, several measures have been implemented to cater to the needs of persons with disabilities and other special needs citizens. This program forwarded the creation of a national school for children with special needs through collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Palmy Reid Rehabilitation Center. Additionally, in June last year, the government announced a cash grant of $100,000 for each child with a disability as part of its commitment intend to continue to support families of children with disabilities. And members of the House, the very same 5,000 students with disabilities benefited from this grant. Another worthy mention, lifetime financial aid is offered to every person living with a disability. And that pays keen attention to the youth and my ministry's promise. Finally, Madam Speaker, we devised the Women's Innovative and Investment Network, allowing youths, men, and women from across regions 2 to 6 and 10 free training with a number of courses at their disposal, joining 200 persons in Region 9 who began in-person training. The ministry is testing the implementation of digital classroom in this program to ensure our courses are accessible to the disadvantaged or physically impaired individuals within Guyana, opening up a gateway of opportunities for special needs youth to gain independence and employment. Madam Speaker, I extend gratitude to our opposition for not only showing interest in youth with special needs, but also for allowing me this opportunity to share the measures which my ministry has taken to combat this issue. Honorable members of the House, I end on a reminder that my ministry functions beyond the clock, ensuring that every citizen, disabled or not, within our care can receive the full benefit of our rapidly growing nation. We allow our people to know and feel that we are in fact one Guyana. Madam Speaker, members of the Honorable House, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Andrea Marslow, Shadow Minister of Amerindian Affairs. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable members, it's no longer our differences that divides us. It's our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. It is in this inability that I rise to convince this noble House to pass this motion put forward by the honorable leader of the opposition. Dear government, we cannot allow this inability. We need to recognize that there is an urgent need for increased accessibility to programs for special needs youths. Every day, whether in class or in the public, we often hear, what is wrong with you? This is so common because too many special needs students are placed into a regular classroom that is neither prepared nor equipped to meet their learning needs. Firstly, not my opinion, but a fact pointed out in a UNESCO 2017 report noted, although the Ministry of Education of Guyana has made efforts in the last 5 years, their inability to adequately meet special education needs continues to be one of the most neglected areas in the educational sector, resulting in a national tragedy of students leaving school and feeling dumb. The opposition agrees that all forms of special needs, whether it be autism, deaf blindness, emotional disturbances, learning disabilities, intellectual disability, or even traumatic brain injury, be given equal rights. All special needs students are to be given equal access to educational, cultural, and sport programs and activities, regardless of geographical location. Madam Speaker, this leads me to my second point. I am by far a motivational speaker, but today I stand to be the voice of my people in all the hinterland areas that are continually neglected. Naming Letem, Mabrum, and Majetout require more than just that. It requires recreational, educational, and cultural pillars that will see hinterland communities be provided with the requisite support at every level. For example, according to UNICEF, Region 1 has a population of 22,000 inhabitants. Its school readiness is extremely low at 29.9% versus the national rate at 76%. Honorable Madam Speaker, we already have a national school ready disaster. One cannot fathom the lack of accessibility for special need programs in areas like Kariako, Whitewater, Taswini, Monkey Mountain, Madia, and the list goes on. Thirdly, the Ministry of Education in 2008 once spoke out on Hinterland region students dropping out of school merely in a 2-year span due to the underlying learning disabilities. 6 years later, the 2014 education bill spoke to students who was entitled to a special education program be delivered in the least restrictive manner and the most enabling environment. 9 years later, we are throwing them in a regular, unequipped classroom. Is this the enabled environment we speak of? UNESCO 2017 noted that yes, there is a need for inclusive education, but it also highlighted that rapid change may be inconsistent and potentially harming to those it's supposed to serve, which includes children with disability in mainstream schools that are not prepared, supported, or accountable for achieving inclusive, which can only intensify the experience of exclusion and provoke the backlash that we are seeing in the hinterland schools. Hence, we propose for a plan. 1, a need assessment be thoroughly completed in all hinterland regions. 2, special needs schools and centers be implemented to ease the burden of the already pressurized schooling system in the hinterland regions. 3, special educational professionals and service be offered in sub-region to ease regular teachers' burden in public schools. In conclusion, a story dear to my heart. At the age of 5, my cousin began experiencing seizures. But of course, in hinterland community, it is not known as seizure, but as mass hysteria. Her teacher advised to keep her home.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Nicholas Sagadea, Prime Minister, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to strongly oppose this motion put forth by the Leader of the Opposition, titled Increased Accessibility to Programs for Special Needs Youth. And I hereby ask for this House's full opposition of this motion. Before I continue, I would like to acknowledge the sensitivity of this matter. I was shown this motion, and I read the whereas clause, as well as the be it resolved clause. After I read it, I laughed. I understand this may be worrying, given the subject of this motion, and you may have a lot of questions, but I'm here to shine some light. Let me first elucidate that this motion lacks depth and direction, similar to the opposition in that manner. Lacking depth and direction is often used as a debating allure and rarely ever used in the right context. But I stand here in genuine concern because it is true. I will ask everyone to refer to this motion on the order paper. We are going for a little journey. The first whereas clause states that the opposition recognizes. Let us be thankful that they can recognize something. That is truly a milestone for them, Madam Speaker. Continuing, whereas the opposition recognizes the importance of creating an inclusive educational environment that caters to the diverse needs of all youths across the country. The second whereas highlights the unique challenges faced by special needs. Wonderful. Wonderful in their recognition. And in good faith, I commend that. Now their solution? Be it resolved that this youth parliament encourages the government to develop specialized training programs at the CPCE to enhance teachers' understanding. Should I continue? Madam Speaker, we just recognize the need to create an educational environment for youths
And we just acknowledge the unique challenges for youths. Yet their first solution talks about training teachers instead of creating more facilities for special needs. This is what cart before the horse means. Madam Speaker, cart before the horse. I will say that this be it resolved was for another horrific motion, but it found itself here via an administrative error. And their second solution is to ensure accessibility for special needs youths across. I am not going to degrade my presentation further with their words, but the fact that they alluded to ensuring accessibility shows that they have absolutely no plan. Madam Speaker, where is the opposition's plan? All we have heard are skits that are more valuable in the cinema than in this honorable house. Skits that cannot put forth a proper plan. Madam Speaker, I don't think the opposition quite understand what just happened. After careful dissection, this motion is now ready to be collected by Sevons. I would like to now call to this honorable house that our time was grossly misled on this motion and not in the manner you think. Madam Speaker, motions become bills and so forth in the legal system. Madam Speaker, the honorable leader of the opposition moved a motion today in this house that is already a bill in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to accord the Education Bill in 2014, Part 6, Section A, Special Education Programs, Chapter 93, Subsection 1. The Chief Education Officer shall provide a special education program for any student of compulsory school age and may provide education for a student beyond that age. This bill directly nullifies the clause.
May I not need to remind you of Rule 28? See?
But the fact of the matter is, this motion is already a bill in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and would have been passed through Parliament. Madam Speaker, this motion needs no vote because once again, it has already passed through Parliament. It is redundant. It is redundant. That's right. You heard it. So we strongly recommend, Madam Speaker, that the opposition take their emotions and black pots and go right back to the drawing board and go do your homework. And we propose you sing, dance, and clap with this discovery. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. When the second bell rings, I will allow you guys to speak up to the first sentence. Complete your sentence, that is. Honorable Caressa McClure, Leader of the Opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, I rise once again as Leader of the Opposition in support of the motion proffered by my team. We have witnessed an extremely interesting debate where each member took a stance either to make a difference for an underserved community or to continue to sit on their high horse with no regard for those who are struggling. Nonetheless, I can stand here proudly today to say that regardless of the direction of the vote, the Guyanese community of youth with disabilities can rest assured that they have MPs who see them, who hear their cries, and who care about their comfort. We have not asked for the impossible. In fact, we have asked for the bare minimum for the community of persons with disabilities. The first thing I would like to reference is the presentation proffered by the Honorable Minister within the Ministry of Public Works. You stood there audaciously with your two working legs, two functioning eyes, two functioning ears, simply intact brain, and professed to Guyana that this motion is not necessary.
So in this noble house with constant empty promises, we are already committed to providing. We are working on it. Madam Speaker, how long do persons with disabilities have to sit back and wait to be given basic human decency? You already have persons waiting 13 years for a house lot. They got to wait 13 years to function without hindrances in society too. Secondly, the Honorable Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport cited that the government is working in accordance with the Disability Act of 2010 and the 2009 Council of Europe's Action Plan. 2010, 2009. I'm glad that we tabled this motion because clearly these persons were tossed on the back burner and forgotten. Madam Speaker, since it is within her portfolio, I would have loved if this minister could have told us how many Guyanese have been empowered to participate in the Paralympics. At the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall, where is the at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall? Where is the access for those individuals to view sports without hassle? The Honorable Minister stated that we must avoid duplication of efforts. We ask for ramps and elevators in schools. We ask for a sign language interpreter at the sitting of the Youth Parliament. We ask for accessible public transportation. Which of these causes a duplication? Madam Speaker, they are targeting none of these issues. Thirdly, the Honorable Minister of Education went off on a tangent about all the courses at CPCE that tackle learning disabilities. But what about that 14-year-old blind student that cannot follow in-class textbook readings? What about the little deaf child that has to stay at home because Miss and Sir were not even offered a 3-day crash course in sign language? Honorable Minister, how dare you stand there and boast of these shabby attempts at inclusivity when the reality is that your children are struggling? I am appalled. I thought that the members of the government would dance and jump for joy to throw their support at a motion that highlights the shortcomings of us as legislators. But it seems as though they're still bitter from yesterday and they are allowing innocent parties. In fact, the Honorable Prime Minister stood there and told us that he is laughing at the cries of persons with disabilities. I leave you with this. We come here and speak of youth empowerment. But youth empowerment for who? Youth empowerment for the entitled. It burns my heart to know that persons with hearing impairments cannot come to this public gallery and sit in on these fruitful discussions. People with wheelchairs cannot come and witness the legislative process in person. My heart aches. So let the words of Matilda Barman serve as an echoing reminder and a new perspective on the struggles of persons with disabilities. So when you vote today, honorable members of the government, please vote with a conscience. We rest our case.
Thank you, all honorable members, for your input. That concludes the debate on the motion. I now put the question. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. No. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the next motion stands in the name of the Honorable Shadow Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs. Honorable Member, Mr. Lemar Williams, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to move the motion, the legalization and medical use of marijuana in Guyana, as Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs. Madam Speaker, I stand before you today and I quote the song of popular dancehall artist Popcorn. We don't beg friends, no. Weed is my best friend. Unfortunately, I have to beg for friends because I need the vote of the other side to pass this motion. A friend of weed is a friend indeed. That's not just the sentiment of Popcorn and our Rastafarian brothers and sisters, but according to the CARICOM Commission on Marijuana 2018 report, prior to the 1930s, that was also the position of all of us in the Caribbean because marijuana was utilized freely without demonization. In that same report, it was shown that in and around the 1930s, at the introduction of the various legislations, they were introduced without any scientific or moral rationales to support it. Madam Speaker, we simply cannot allow the contentious data on the documented negative effects of marijuana to continue to allow us to not utilize the benefits right here in Guyana. Madam Speaker, I am going to show you that there are strong arguments for the legalization of marijuana in Guyana. Firstly, Madam Speaker, in the 2017 national consultation, it was shown that adults, many of us, we were voting that there is a consensus that we should treat marijuana as any other legal substance, such as alcohol or tobacco. Now, the 2018 report shows that while youths use it, adults should be allowed to make an adult decision. Secondly, Madam Speaker, marijuana has a lot of medical properties that can benefit people with a lot of medical conditions. Honorable members, our law should not be counterintuitive. Guyana already has an Hemp Act 2022. Now, I know some of the honorable members will say that marijuana and hemp is technically different. While I'm no science expert, common sense tells me that both marijuana and hemp, they originate from the cannabis plant. They both originate from the cannabis plant. So why not? This shows us that there is no basis, logical or legal, for the continual criminalization of marijuana in Guyana. We must medically exploit it. Further, Madam Speaker, look at the economic benefit that marijuana can have on our economy. We can tap into taxation and we can create new jobs through marijuana legalization. I know an honorable member wanted to alleviate poverty yesterday through taxation, and they wanted to give us a lecture and share some nuggets of wisdom on tax laws. But the only wisdom they shared was that of a wisdom tooth. That was painfully misguided. They tried to shut us up. Look at Canada. Canada has earned over 3.1 billion in sales according to Statistics Canada official website. And that is over 333 million in profits. Guyana can benefit from that as well. We can benefit. It's time to legalize. Lastly, Madam Speaker, we can look at the burden that marijuana criminalization has on the criminal justice system. Now, I know the honorable member said yesterday that I'm no economist, Madam Speaker, but I am a student of the law, Madam Speaker. So I would show you the case law. Look at the case, Mungle versus the state. The newspaper read that the court erupts as a poultry farmer gets charged with 8 grams of marijuana. 3 years for a poultry farmer? That's a family without a father and a community without chicken for grass? Come on, Speaker. That is repugnant. A family without a father? Look at the prison population. It increased by 13%. According to the director of prison, he said it has 736 more prisoners. Madam Speaker, why our law should be criminalizing these petty crimes? Perhaps, Madam Speaker, the honorable members behind their gated communities can offer their bedrooms in their mansions to offer these prisoners, and they can keep them there, Madam Speaker. We shouldn't criminalize these petty crimes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let us look at the crux of the matter today. The Amendment Act. It was a dream. The government said we a dream, Madam Speaker. It did not remedy the deficiencies in the Principal Act. Look at the threshold of trafficking. It still is absurd. You could get charged for trafficking. The U.S. State Department, looking at Guyana, said that they could still, that 21% of the prisoners are in there for drug-related offenses. And of that 21%, 81% are there for marijuana. That was a dream to sell us and to preach about restorative justice, Madam Speaker. That is recidivism. That same report shows that these offenders go back right to prison. But Madam Speaker, we are not here to sell a dream like...
Your time is up.
One moment. Madam Speaker?
Yes, honorable
I
member.
rise to ask for an additional minute for the honorable member to conclude his speech.
Permission is declined. Thank you, honorable member. Is there a seconder?
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Honorable members, the motion is proposed. Honorable Shante Eastman, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable members of this esteemed House, I stand before you as the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation to address this meritless, baseless, and most importantly, fruitless motion being presented here today by the opposition. Permit me, Madam Speaker, to firstly quote the Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs, who said, and I quote, "Weed is my best friend." Given your stance on religion, I would hope that Jesus would be your best friend. Allow me to outline my area of discussion, which will focus primarily on the prospective passage of this Wake Up and Smoke Weed bill and its effects on our bilateral relations with other countries. The opposition is trying to bring a resolution to a problem that simply isn't there, and in doing so, creating an even bigger issue, diverting our attention from other pressing matters that demand our focus and resources. The effects of marijuana legalization or consumption on bilateral relations between countries can vary, including the specific policies of each country, their cultural attitudes toward cannabis, and their existing diplomatic relationships. If Guyana legalizes marijuana for recreational or medicinal use, while another country maintains strict anti-drug laws, there will be tension or disagreements regarding drug control policies and international drug treaties. Madam Speaker, the decision of a country to legalize marijuana production and export raises a plethora of intricate issues that transcend its domestic borders. The potential for trade disputes or negotiation is perceivable, as different policies regarding marijuana could give rise to contentious discussions surrounding quality control, pricing, taxation, and export regulations. Beyond economic considerations, the impact on diplomatic relations is equally profound. Disparities in attitudes towards marijuana will cast shadows over other cooperative endeavors, potentially undermining the foundation of an otherwise harmonious diplomatic relationship. While the opposition might argue for the economic benefits, the specter of cross-border smuggling looms large. The legalization of marijuana in one country could inadvertently fuel the illegal trafficking of the substance into neighboring countries where it remains prohibited, straining both bilateral relations and the efficacy of cross-border law enforcement cooperation. This situation, Madam Speaker, is further compounded by the breach of international drug control treaties, the dichotomy between the decisions of individual countries and the obligations under such treaties like the 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs. It's a walk down the path of accusations of treaty violations and the subsequent surge in diplomatic tensions. Moreover, the perception of a country's marijuana policies can wield considerable influence on its international reputation and credibility. The global community's gaze may scrutinize the country's approach, potentially overshadowing its standing on other global issues. Is the opposition even considering this move as potentially compromising our international relation as the fastest growing economy in the world? What will we stand up and say to international organizations like the UN and WHO and all countries that would have signed on to the international drug control treaties? How will we then explain our stance? Madam Speaker, the WHO and UN have maintained a cautious stance against the widespread legalization of marijuana for recreational purpose. The UN Drug Control Conventions, established in the 1960s, categorized cannabis as a Schedule I substance with high potential for abuse and limited medical use. What might be important to point out, Madam Speaker, is that another example of a Schedule I drug is heroin. With the callous positioning of this opposition, one might not be too incorrect to conclude that very soon, a motion may be presented to legalize heroin. Are we looking to erect more asylums instead of schools and hospitals? Let us recall the now famous TikTok star Angel, who appears to be mentally challenged, who admitted on camera, and I quote, "I don't smoke coke, I smoke weed." Making weed free for all is working towards the goal of a deranged pandemic. Madam Speaker, the International Drug Policy Consortium, IDPC, posited that 30 countries and 49 jurisdictions have taken the step to decriminalize marijuana. It further highlighted there are major risks in the legalization of marijuana, the possibility of injuries and even death in some cases, an increase in the amount of users and chaos. The National Center of Drug Abuse Statistics found that countries who choose to decriminalize marijuana are, and I quote, smoother functioning. Even with all of the authoritative sources and factual evidence swirling around in the public domain, the opposition still expects us to swim against the tide. The results of the survey reflect a growing trend of advocating for more lenient penalties while maintaining certain control over the distribution and use of marijuana. In the words of popular dancehall artist Popcorn, allow me to remind the members of the dear opposition, and I quote, "Numbers don't lie."
Honorable member. Honorable Andrew King, Shadow Minister of Health, you may proceed.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Honorable members of this noble house, I stand before you today to address a matter of utmost importance to our nation's health and well-being: the legalization and medical use of marijuana in Guyana. So grab your thinking caps, or should I say, your ideas caps. We won't be passing around any samples today, but I do have some lime and some drink mix that you can make some swank with. As we delve into this discourse, it is imperative to acknowledge the growing consensus on the potential benefits of legalizing marijuana for medical and therapeutic purposes within our health sector. The opposition's recognition of these benefits underscores the importance of an evidence-based approach to shaping our policies. Madam Speaker, the question at hand is not just about legalization, but rather responsible regulation. By effectively regulating the production and distribution of marijuana, we have the power to ensure its safe and controlled use. This ultimately diminishes the associated risks that arise from the unregulated black market trade. Equally significant is the potential economic gain, the ability to generate income for our nation through responsible taxation. Our stance is firmly rooted in evidence, both from local and international sources. Studies have shown marijuana's efficacy in alleviating chronic pain, managing symptoms of epilepsy, also known as seizure, aiding chemotherapy-related side effects like nausea and vomiting, sleeping disorders, inflammatory conditions, muscle spasms, neurological disorders, and providing relief to those suffering from multiple sclerosis, as well as anxiety and PTSD, like many members of their government. Madam Speaker, let us not turn a blind eye to the successful examples set by other nations that have embarked on the path of responsible marijuana legalization. Countries such as Canada, the Netherlands, and certain states in the United States have paved the way, demonstrating how stringent regulation can lead to positive outcomes. So far, 30 countries around the world have legalized marijuana for medical purposes. And just to note, an article published by Julian Morris, an executive director of the International Center for Law and Economics in Washington, stated, and I quote, "From this evidence, it is clear that while legalization does not necessarily eliminate illegal production, distribution, and sale of marijuana, it tends to diminish it dramatically. Subsequently, it relieves the burdens placed on courts, law enforcement, and prisons, allowing for a greater focus on violent crimes." Madam Speaker, an article published by the Jamaica Bay in 2019 stated that 90% of patients on medical marijuana have successfully completed their treatment for several conditions, including chronic pain. Madam Speaker, as we propose this motion, it is only fair to address certain concerns that might arise from the government standpoint. So some might argue that marijuana's legalization could lead to an increase in its recreational use, potentially harming our society. To address this, I emphasize the importance of stringent regulation by clearly defining the conditions for medical and therapeutic use. We can prevent its diversion for recreational purposes. Others might raise concerns about the potential for misuse among the youth. To this, I would highlight the fact that responsible legalization does not mean unrestricted access. Age restriction, medical prescription, and comprehensive education are essential components of our proposed framework, aimed at mitigating the risk of misuse. In closing, the motion before us represents a pivotal moment in our nation's journey towards comprehensive health care. By embracing a regulated approach of marijuana's legalization, we can harness its medical and therapeutic potential while safeguarding our citizens from potential harm. Madam Speaker, medical marijuana is a useful and legitimate treatment for a variety of conditions. Marijuana was discovered in Asia 2800 BC, and it was used for medical and therapeutic purposes. Patients deserve the best care and the safest treatment possible. Why are we burning and destroying this beautiful life-saving plant? If the creator did not have a purpose for this plant, then he simply would not have created it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Shadow Minister of Health. Honorable Risa Roberts, Minister of Health, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this morning I woke up and my body was filled with pain. I was feeling a little nauseous. And I thought about the prescribed medication that my physician prescribed. And then I thought, you know what? Let me just go down the road, find Prince Man, and ball up a joint. Because clearly, this is what the opposition is telling us. If you're feeling a pain, get up, go buy a joint, and just light a split. Or maybe they want us to legalize the weed so that we can get with their...
Madam Speaker, I raise a point of clarification.
On what clarification? Are you willing to yield?
No. Matter of fact, it seems as if the opposition is here to get us along with their campaign to wake up, get high, and just stay high. I, Risa Roberts, Honorable Minister of Health, stand firm in reiterating the government's stance that we should not legalize marijuana either for medical, therapeutic, or recreational purposes. Madam Speaker, the opposition wants us to legalize marijuana because it allegedly reduces chronic pain, chemotherapy-related side effects, anxiety, and PTSD. But why is the opposition incorrectly insinuating that this is the only methods of treatment for these medical issues? For widespread acceptance and implementation of a drug, it must undergo the successful completion of randomized controlled clinical trials. As a matter of fact, on the 7th of April, 2023, Frontiers Pharmacology published an article titled "The Evolving Culture of Medical Cannabis in Canada for the Management of Chronic Pain," which states that medical marijuana doesn't have clinical approval because, and I quote, few formulations of plant-based medical cannabis extracts in the North American marketplace meet pharmaceutical standards required for Health Canada or FDA approval. And two, the designation of cannabis, in particular THC, as a controlled substance, end quote. Madam Speaker, if there cannot be successful clinical trials to pass this drug as medicinal, then why are we as a House trying to pass this motion? Now, Madam Speaker, the opposition might want to say they want the marijuana because it's a plant, it's a herb, it has less side effects, or for parents used it even. Allow me to enlighten the members of the opposition, Madam Speaker. For your chronic pains, you can use St. John's wort. It is a herb, it is a plant, and it is readily available as capsules without the harmful weed side effects. This herb contains hyperfonin and hypericin, which according to a February 2021 research paper titled Herbal Medicine for Pain Management, Efficacy and Drug Interactions, are responsible for inhibiting serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine reuptake. This leads to it being an anxiolytic, antidepressant, and analgesic. Madam Speaker, what this is telling us is that St. John's wort helps to provide more of the happy hormones, the hormones that make us feel so calm, the hormones that make us feel so relaxed. Simply put, comrades, this medicine aids with depression, anxiety, and pain. Now tell me, does this sound familiar? The nausea and the vomiting from chemo. I'm sure that every Guyanese have heard their granny telling them they can have some ginger for that. Settle your stomach. Matter of fact, Jay Choi and team conducted a systematic review of randomized clinical trials looking at the effects of ginger intake on chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, published in their article on November 23, 2022. This article stated, and I quote, "The main functional substances of ginger are phenolic compounds. They have various biological properties that are antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, anti-cancer, neuroprotective, antidepressant, and antiemetic." Does this sound familiar again? While I do agree that there's a place for medical marijuana in our society, opposition, what are your plans? How will we manage the addiction? What about the psychological problems that come with legalizing marijuana or crime rate even? Apparently, the opposition has a plan for us, Honorable House. Don't drink and drive, smoke weed and fly. We'll be looking at a very good future if we continue along this road. Members of the opposition, sometimes you need to take baby steps. I would suggest that the honorable members take a minute and take a few steps back. Listen to the words of African artist Rima. Baby, calm down, calm down. For these purposes, Madam Speaker, I reiterate the government's stance that marijuana should not be legalized for recreation, medical, or therapeutic purposes. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Health. Honorable Narima Ali, Shadow Minister of Agriculture, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, all. Madam Speaker, I thank you as I rise in this honorable house to asseverate the opposition's position on the motion proposed for the legalization and medical use of marijuana in Guyana. Undoubtedly, the government has again shunned the idea of marijuana being legalized. But why? Is it because of the psychoactive chemical properties, or is it because of the stigma attached to the herb? And it is nothing more than that. Let us bear this in mind. Long before cannabis developed this stigma as being a bad drug, it was first used in Asia for its vast healing properties. And the Sydney University recognized Emperor Shengnong for using cannabis to treat arthritis, pain, depression, asthma, among many other health conditions that were common at that time. Marijuana is as bad as we make it, Madam Speaker. Ganja, marijuana, weed, kush, dutchie, whatever we want to call it, possesses untapped potentials that can boost Guyana's economy as we know it today. The Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Manzoor Nadir, said at the opening of this youth parliament that hard choices have to be made. And end of quote. And it's about time that we took a page out of our sister CARICOM's country, Jamaica, since they legalized marijuana for medical use and decriminalized possessions under 2 ounces since 2015. Notably, Madam Speaker, Jamaica has 3 times
Yes, Honorable Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker, raising a point of clarification. The
Honorable Member, do you yield to this clarification?
No, Madam Speaker. As I was saying, Jamaica has 3 times the population when compared to Guyana. But today, even 8 years after Jamaica has legalized marijuana, we do not see anything in the news, anything in the paper, anything from CARICOM about marijuana having a negative impact on the country's economy or the country as a whole. So why would we think that marijuana legalization in Guyana would hurt our beloved land? It is simply preposterous, Madam Speaker. We ought not to park this idea in the corner with our dreams that have never materialized because of fear, Madam Speaker. And I beg the Honorable House to understand that the opposition is not saying that the legalization of this herb will allow all citizens to use, cultivate, process, or retail marijuana as they please. But instead, like Jamaica, we are focusing on its health benefits. And instead, Madam Speaker, a license will be required from a specialized unit under the ministry for these purposes. The legalization of the herb will bolster Guyana's economy in ways that are unimaginable. Madam Speaker, we envisage, firstly, increased revenues and taxes, which can be used to develop other fundamental areas like health, education, and even infrastructure. Jamaica recorded a $1.34 million in imports in 2020, according to the Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA. Secondly, Madam Speaker, there is potential for creation of employment for hundreds, even thousands of persons, not only in the agriculture sector, but also in other sectors across Guyana. Jamaica's CLA chairman, Mr. Levon Flynn, stated that in 2022 alone, 700 jobs were created following the issuance of just over 100 licenses, Madam Speaker. And they were speaking about poverty yesterday. Employment is one of the ways to reduce that. Madam Speaker, investment opportunities are there that can further boost the country's economy. That's the picture that we ought to envisage when we think about the legalization of marijuana for medical use. Not everyone at the corner of the street that can run out and buy a spliff and have that in their mouth. Madam Speaker, now more than ever, Guyana should revise its legislation and pass this motion for the legalization of marijuana for medical use, especially as the global cannabis market estimates growth of US $23.9 billion in this year alone and approximately $60 billion by 2028, according to Murder Intelligence. And I say, Madam Speaker, is the number lying? Madam Speaker, as I retire to my seat, I implore on this honorable house to vote with a conscience and vote for the long-term benefit of our people. Marijuana is here to stay. So even after we are long gone, the weed will live on. And I will end on the note of Mavado. I thank you.
Honorable, what's her name? Narima Ali. Honorable Lavendra Prasad, Minister of Agriculture. You may stand.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, I stand before you proudly as the Minister of Agriculture to address a pressing issue that has garnered the attention of our opposition: legalization of marijuana for recreational, therapeutic, and medical use in our beloved country, Guyana. Madam Speaker, I heard the Shadow Minister of Agriculture talk about the taxation and importance of marijuana. I heard little to nothing of marijuana on the agriculture sector. Sorry. Madam Speaker, I want to know if the speaker before me was the Shadow Minister of Agriculture or the Shadow Minister of Health, because I heard little to nothing on marijuana and the agriculture sector. While I do agree that this is a discussion of national importance, I, however, cannot support the opposition's motion to include it as a crop into our already flourishing agriculture sector. Honorable members, let us consider the amendment that is being discussed. While some argue that this amendment does facilitate the purported economic and medical benefits of marijuana, we must also recognize the potential risks and challenges that comes with legalization. The immediate focus on economic gains should not overshadow the potential harm it could cause to public health and social fabric. But Madam Speaker, there is more to it than the health hazards that has already been pellucidly outlined by the Minister of Health. Permit me to draw to the attention of this virtuous house an alternative that holds great promise: industrial hemp. Hemp is a cousin of marijuana, as it is of the same plant. And allow me, Madam Speaker, but it is distinct in its properties. You hear that? It is distinct. It is far. It's not the same as marijuana. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to teach the Shadow Minister something. A study which was carried out by the Pro Foods Foundation showed that unlike marijuana, hemp contains negligible amounts of THC, which is the psychoactive compound responsible for the high intoxication associated with marijuana. And this makes hemp a safer and more viable option for various purposes. One of the most compelling reasons to consider hemp over marijuana is its numerous medical purposes. And according to the National Institutes of Health, hemp-derived products such as CBD oil have shown potential in treating a range of health conditions, including chronic pain, anxiety, and epilepsy. These therapeutic benefits of hemp can be harnessed without the intoxicating effects of marijuana. Moreover, the cultivation of hemp could provide a boon to our agricultural sector, because hemp is known for its versatility and sustainability. It can be used to make textiles, paper, building materials, and even biofuels. And by embracing the hemp cultivation, we can diversify our agricultural industry, create new opportunities for farmers, and contribute to a greener and more sustainable future for our country. But what is the point, one may ask, in highlighting these facts? What the opposition has failed to tell this House is that the government of Guyana last year produced, tabled, and had passed the Industrial Act. And this piece of legislation allows for Guyana to tap into not only the medical benefits of the cannabis plant, but a soon whopping US $16.7 billion industry by the time we hit 2030. This will further expand our already vast agricultural base while we continue work on bringing corn and soybean cultivation to our blessed country. So conclusively, Madam Speaker, the opposition has to tell this House the real reason why they want marijuana to be legalized in this country. Because it cannot be for medical or therapeutic benefits, since the Minister of Health has pointed out that there are more proficient methods of treatment for all types of illnesses. Nor can it be for economic benefits, since they ignored how valuable the global hemp industry already is and will continue to be in the near future. And as the Minister of Agriculture, Madam Speaker, I stand strongly by the Industrial Hemp Act that has already been passed by this National Assembly, and therefore I cannot support the legalization of marijuana and its implementation to the agriculture sector. And as the Minister of Health said, baby, calm down. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member of Agriculture. Honorable Veronica Wilson, Shadow Minister of Home Affairs, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I, Veronica Wilson, stand in solidarity with Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs to support the notion, legalization, and medical use of marijuana in Guyana. as this notion will aid in the reduction of incarcerated offenders. Bob Marley once said, "Herb is the healing of the nation. Alcohol is its destruction." Today, Madam Speaker, alcohol is embraced, celebrated, and distributed, while marijuana is ostracized, demonized, and criminalized. According to the World Health Organization, May 9, 2022, alcohol consumption contributes to 3 million deaths each year globally. Madam Speaker, have you ever asked yourself why alcohol is illegal and why alcohol is legal and marijuana is illegal, even though alcohol is responsible for so many deaths? It is important for us to change this narrative and legalize it. Madam Speaker, the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration has reported in 2023 that California has earned more than $260 million in tax revenue from the sale of legal cannabis this year. Does Guyana benefit or generate taxes from legal sales and distribution of marijuana? No? Why not legalize it and reap all of its possible benefits? Let us think for a moment. Yes, there has been lots of debate surrounding the legalization of marijuana. And Madam Speaker, the honorable members on the other side may want to base their argument on moral obligation, but there is no doubt that once marijuana is legalized, the possible benefits far outweighs the disadvantages. Madam Speaker, besides the unquestionable tax and health benefits, legalizing marijuana will also aid in the reduction of crime. Madam Speaker, the Guardian News on July 13, 2018 reported that the introduction of medical marijuana laws has led to a sharp reduction in violent crime in U.S. states. Hence, legalizing marijuana will foster better security and will ultimately lead to a great reduction of crime in our beautiful country. It is evident that the government, the people of Guyana, have seen the benefits of this notion. Hence, they have made the first step by amending this act, and same was passed in the National Assembly on November 7, 2022. This act allows persons to have a certain amount of this drug with no jail time. But the Amendments Act, Madam Speaker, does not legalize marijuana for the medical use in Guyana. And this poses a major problem with our judicial and prison systems. Our courts are overwhelmed with drug cases that have been clogging up our judicial system for years. The U.S. Department of Justice in 2019 conducted a research captioned "Measuring the Criminal Justice System Impact of Marijuana Legalization." It revealed that there were no noticeable indication of an increase in arrests related to transportation or trafficking offenses in the states, and legalizing marijuana use resulted in fewer marijuana cases. Madam Speaker, according to the Director of Prisons at their annual conference in March, stated that at the end of 2022, there was an increase by 13% with a total of 1,880 persons in prison. You may ask, how much of these were drug-related? The anti-narcotics unit alone made 115 of those cases. The director went on to say the issue of overcrowding at various prison facilities across the country have been a long-standing concern. This is a cry for help, Madam Speaker. Let us pass this notion and ease the prison burden. Madam Speaker, drug-related cases make up much of the the work of our police, court, and prison. And the only way to rest this burden is legalization. I am sure, Madam Speaker, that the Honorable Ministers of Finance and Home Affairs, along with all other ministers, will fully agree with me when I say, instead of using our tax monies for counseling sessions, incarceration, and housing prisoners for marijuana, same can be used in other areas, such as paying our police officers and our healthcare workers who are often working long hours and not being paid properly. Madam Speaker, I know that this is something that we all have been waiting for. It's our move. This is our opportunity. And it is said, when opportunity comes, take it. So let us make that move. Be a player and not a chess piece. Make your dream. Make our dreams come true and vote yes. Yes to the legalization and medical use of marijuana in Guyana.
Honorable Member, thank you for your time. Honorable Brina Rai, Minister of Home Affairs, you may stand.
As the Minister of Home Affairs, I rise to oppose this myopic motion to legalize marijuana for medicinal and recreational purposes in Guyana. To further elaborate, I would like to highlight that the opposition did not take into consideration what this motion might have on the safety of our nation. Notwithstanding, Guyana does not have at this present moment, possess sufficient resources in the defense forces to facilitate extensive protection, which will be necessary for such productions as the country is still developing. According to the World Health Organization, cannabis is one of the most trafficked and illicit drugs in the world. Madam Speaker, to have a clear understanding of the real effects of this drug, we must look at the statistics from the United States of America, where the largest market for marijuana exists, according to market analysts. The UNODC World Drug Report points out that cannabis legalization in North America appears to have increased daily usage, particularly among young adults. Based on studies done in Colorado, they found that 58.9% of heavy adolescent marijuana users have an arrest record compared to 34.8% of light or non-users. Additionally, it is evidently proven by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention that people who use marijuana are likely to develop temporary psychosis, hallucinations, paranoia, and long-lasting mental disorders. Marijuana use has also been linked to depression, social anxiety, and suicide. Madam Speaker, implementation of this motion puts us at a risk of increasing in social issues in Guyana. Furthermore, because cannabis use can result in irritability and altered cognition, it is plausible that its use increases the risk of violence and aggression. The first 4 states to legalize marijuana for recreational use were Colorado and Washington in 2014, and Alaska and Oregon in 2015. Combined, those 4 states had about 450 murders and 30,500 aggravated assaults in 2013 as compared to 2017, when the states had almost 620 murders and 38,000 aggravated assaults, an increase far greater than the national average. Shadow Minister of Home Affairs, do what you may with this information. One must take into serious consideration what this will do with our prison system. The opposition would like us to believe that removing marijuana from the list of banned narcotics will reduce the population of our prison system, but the stats prove that nothing could be farther from the truth. This is why, Madam Speaker, the original amendments for persons in possession of small amounts of marijuana to no longer endure a custodial sentence is the way to go. The opposition also failed to realize the competing interests in society on a matter of this nature. From an organizational standpoint, the passage of this motion will be praised by members of the Rastafarian community, but disdained by religious groups. This is exactly the point made by Attorney General Mohabir Anil Nandlal while speaking on a similar matter. The AG said, and I quote, "A responsible government has to skillfully navigate these competing interests in an effort to find a delicate, acceptable equilibrium," end quote. Now, members of the opposition, we are not in support of this motion to wake up and smoke weed. Instead, we would propose a further amendment to the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Bill, which continues to decriminalize the possession of marijuana and implement reformative programs for those individuals in accordance with the Restorative Justice Act 2022. We aim to promote rehabilitative justice rather than punitive justice. This is the only way forward, the only way forward for our country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Home Affairs. Honorable Emmanuel Asana, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Parliamentary motions where the best intention meet the most convoluted language. Madam Speaker, in my hand is what I like to refer to as a thinking cap. It is evident from this ludicrous motion being brought forward to this honorable house that the honorable members of the opposition clearly forgot to wear theirs while drafting this recipe for this act. Nevertheless, permit me to dive into this perplexing masterpiece of contradictions. First and foremost, it is always a delight to see whereas clauses that seem more like a mystery novel than a legislative proposal. The resolutions, on the other hand, seem more like they attend a completely different party from the whereas clause. Did they RSVP? It is imperative that I, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, highlight that while the opposition indicated the lack of marijuana being utilized for its economic benefits within the Amendments Act of 2022, it is important. I am wondering why the honorable members are referencing the economic benefits of legalization. This leads me to ask, Madam Speaker, why are they doing such? Members of the opposition, remember, this is the parliament. We need structured legislation, not this wake up and smoke weed piece of documentation. Madam Speaker, I stand in solidarity with my colleagues in the government side, and we cannot, and I reiterate, cannot support such a motion. This motion lacks scrutiny, depth, and most importantly, cohesion. This motion, Madam Speaker, presents what we know as a ripple effect, as any amendment to the Narcotics Act will cause amendment to be made to several other acts across the globe. Madam Speaker, this motion is myopic because it does not cater to the inevitable changes to all the other acts. Madam Speaker, it is not as simple as going to the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 2022 and removing marijuana as a narcotic. Madam Speaker, permit me to lend guidance to the most misguided. In the Customs Act, marijuana importation and exportation is affected by law, according to sections 43 and 44, which state that all dangerous drugs are prohibited from importation and exportation. The opposition failed to highlight the changes needed to be made to this act. Secondly, what about the Taxation and Revenue Act? Madam Speaker, the honorable members of the opposition are forgetting that although they want economic benefits attached, they have not proposed a single strategy to incorporate marijuana legalization as a tax commodity. But if this is not laughable enough, the opposition has completely disregarded all employment and workplace policies that would have to be intensely revised and scrutinized if the opposition is to get its way. Madam Speaker, as my intelligent colleagues established, we cannot legalize marijuana for no intent or purpose. Rather, we take a stand to decriminalize it in our society. And it is evident that my progressive government is well on the path to doing this, as evident from the Amendment Act of 2022.
it's here that I think it is imperative, Honorable Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs, please take note, you need schooling, because decriminalization, according to the Foreign Policy Association, can be defined as the status of an offense being reclassified from non-criminal to from criminal to non-criminal within a country's legal framework. It is still prohibited and it is still punishable by law. Contrarily, legalization is applied to the supply of drugs, describing a move from prohibited behavior to the use of drugs. Madam Speaker, the issue at hand is about how we manage and control marijuana within our society, and we can best manage and control it through decriminalization. In conclusion, I am still stunned by this myopic motion. Maybe this is a new strategy. Keep the audience so baffled by inconsistencies that they pass the motion just to move on. Pure genius. I've always believed inconsistencies in a motion is like mismatched socks. Sure, they both go on the feet, but do they really belong together? Members of the opposition, the vision of my government through decriminalization is that we craft a policy that will cater to the decriminalization of marijuana, where we don't have something that creates a negative public impact, but rather, Madam Speaker, something that does not also makes the laws compete with each other. I implore the members of the opposition, Madam Speaker, to actually, factually, and consciously reanalyze this motion because they clearly misunderstood the assignment. Madam Speaker, I heard one of the members of the opposition said, what to do? Well, let me tell you exactly what to do. Retract this motion and go back to the drafting table.
Thank you, Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs. Honorable Lemar Williams, Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know my comrades had some pre-planned speeches, and rightly so. They came with the buzzwords and they oppose because they can. But Madam Speaker, I urge the honorable members to ask yourselves, why criminalize marijuana? Why criminalize weed? Madam Speaker, we are aware, our members mentioned that we are aware of the problems that an unregulated approach can have. That is why we never proposed an unregulated approach. We propose a regulated legalization approach. The Honorable Minister of Health said that. And it will not open the floodgates, as the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs said, Madam Speaker. In fact, the research shows that it was the prohibition policy that opened the floodgates. In fact, it not only opened the floodgates, but it opened the prison cell. It overflowing with criminals. Madam Speaker, I noticed that the Honorable Minister of Health mentioned an alternative method to use than marijuana and the legalization of that. But Madam Speaker, it was one thing COVID-19 has taught me, that there's division in the scientific community. One minister even suggested that sun could heal COVID, Madam Speaker. There is division, and that drug that the Honorable Minister mentioned has some enormous side effects. So what are you suggesting, Honorable Minister? Madam Speaker, what we are suggesting is a regulated approach, an approach that is far more in line with modern, acceptable practices to dealing with dangerous drugs and substances, such as tobacco and alcohol. What we are calling for is a regulated public health and social risk approach. It treats to minimize all of these fancy problems that they've highlighted. We're going to minimize that and regulate it within a public health capacity. We are not proposing that you continue with this approach. What we want, let me guide you specifically what we want. We don't want an amendment act that says that we should go counseling, and then you're going to use that research from the counseling to say that we have a counseling problem in Guyana. How can you counsel a Rasta man from his religion? You recommend counseling in Amendment Act. How can you counsel a man out of his religion? Come on. We want the government to commit to adequate funding. We want them to reform the appropriate legislation. We want them to revise the existing policies so that they don't criminalize marijuana. What we want is for them to follow up. I'm telling you what we want, for them to follow up with the consultation with the CARICOM Commission on Marijuana so that we can have a responsible legalization of marijuana in Guyana, so that we can have the proper sensitization, regulation, and use. So for instance, we can borrow from Jamaica, who has an approach where they give licenses to the growers and the suppliers, and they dictate where and when marijuana can be used and for what purpose. We're not calling for an open, unregulated approach. You guys can't even listen to us. Come on.
Rule
Madam
28.
Speaker.
You may proceed.
Madam Speaker, my learned colleague wanted to give me a lecture on the law. We never mentioned decriminalization, and the act that they amended themselves, it aims at decriminalization, but it doesn't work. Look at it. Look at the threshold for trafficking. Look at the threshold for trafficking.
When one member is speaking, allow him to finish before you continue.
Look at the threshold for trafficking. The lowering of the amount or the hiring of the amount, it doesn't stop the trafficking offenses in Guyana. We have 21% of our prisoners are in there, as I said, for drug-related offense and 81% for marijuana possession. How does that help that? You're sending people to jail. What we want is for us in Guyana to exploit the medical use of marijuana. Now, my learned friend on the left, on the other side, Madam Speaker, they quoted about the waking up and smoke a joint. We never suggested that, Madam Speaker. Come on. Are you watching basic comprehension? We said marijuana products. They're going to use medical products. Can you smoke products? We didn't say that. Now, Madam Speaker, my friend talked about the trafficking of marijuana. Madam Speaker, as I said, the drug marijuana was used before the 1930s without any discrimination. We are a sovereign country. We control where we go, where we go, where we go. We don't need outside any information. Speaker, if they're afraid, we need a profound and proficient yes from the other side. But if y'all afraid, like my other colleague sang, Madam Speaker, we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no trees, we ain't giving up no corrals, that's a bit, but y'all want to give up on the weed. If it's money you need, the teachers want money. If it's money you need, plant the weed. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, I ask you to be quiet as we begin the vote. Those in favor, I now put a question. Those in favor, say aye. Stiff competition. Those against, say no. Division, Mr. Clerk.
Yeah.
Ms. Shelby Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Devikanan Nankumar.
Aye.
Ms. Renetta White.
Aye.
Mr. Akeem Stoby.
Aye.
Ms. Ellen Gopal.
Aye.
Mr. Emmanuel Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Joshua Forrester.
Aye.
Miss Adeti McCalmont.
Aye.
Miss Kanisha Primo.
Aye.
Miss Kelly Kelman.
Aye.
Mr. Daniel McCalmont.
Aye.
Miss Andrea Marslow.
Aye.
Miss Narima Ali.
Aye.
Miss Veronica Wilson.
Aye.
Miss Natalia Risol Miraj.
Aye.
Mr. Andrew King.
Aye.
Miss Tatiana Norton.
Aye.
Mr. Charles Amir.
Aye.
Miss Nikosha Bob.
Aye.
Mr. Sanjay Chandario.
Aye.
Mr. Limar Williams.
Aye.
Miss Carissa McClure.
Aye.
Miss Diomini Ramlochan.
No.
Miss Zion Kelman.
No.
Mr. Ricardo Kumar.
No.
Miss Jasmine Hackett.
No.
Miss Trafiona Peters.
No.
Miss Shakila Ross.
No.
Miss Saya Prasad.
No.
Miss Aniza Ali.
No.
Miss Cindy Saukinandan.
No.
Miss Cassia Albert.
No.
Miss Sunita Susankar.
No.
Miss Yanesia Easton.
No.
Mr. Aaron Henry.
No.
Mr. Lavendra Prasad.
No.
Miss Brina Rai.
No.
Miss Unica Sancharo.
No.
Miss Risa Roberts.
No.
Mr. Joel Narain.
No.
Miss Veron Bourne.
No.
Miss Shante Eastman.
No.
Mr. Emmanuel Asana.
A resounding no.
Mr. Marlon Joseph.
No.
Mr. Nicholas Sagadayo.
No.
Madam Speaker, 22 members of the House voted in favor, with 23 members voting against the motion, with no member declining.
Honorable members, the motion is negative. Honorable members, this brings us to the end of our business on the order paper for today. Honorable Prime Minister, you may move the adjournment.
Madam Speaker, I wish to move the adjournment of the of the Assembly to August 2024.
The Assembly now stands adjourned to August 2024.
You may sit. For a minute there, ladies and gentlemen, I was thinking that perhaps the segment for tonight was, this was the rehearsals for that. Because it seems as though everyone in here was singing. So I hope that tonight at the award ceremony, that we are going to have a full program, because I realize that we have a lot of singers in here. So ladies and gentlemen, esteemed participants of the senior category of the 8th Annual Youth Parliament, as we eagerly anticipate the results and commendations, I invite you to reflect on the spirited debates, insightful arguments, and collaborative spirit that have characterized this remarkable event. Your dedication to the art of effective communication is truly commendable. And it is evident that each of you have contributed to the intellectual discourse with passion and conviction.
May the camaraderie and knowledge gained during this experience continue to guide you on your journey toward becoming responsible and impactful citizens. Let us celebrate the pursuit of understanding and excellence as we await the announcement of the winning motions and distinguished speakers from both the government and opposition benches. I would like to open the floor for brief, need I mention, brief remarks as we await the scores from the judges. So I noticed that we have a few members of parliament in here. And I also noticed that we have previous youth parliamentarians as well in the house. So, and the mentors as well. So, like I said, I'm opening the floor for those in the audience. If you wish, you may say a few remarks. Just stand where you are or find the closest mic to you. And my technical guy, Mr. Eastman, is going to ensure that he zoom in on you. All right? So, I open the floor for remarks. So we have no brave ones now. Right?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to thank the Parliament for hosting this and for giving us the opportunity. I lost my voice, but it is such an honor to share this space with so many intelligent young people. And I look forward to seeing my colleagues, different ones, making history for Guyana and moving and building this beautiful nation of ours. So thank you for this opportunity.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Let me first start by allowing you to congratulate yourselves with a tap on the desk for the hard work that you guys put in over the last few days to prepare your speeches for this time. Mentoring, as the mentors know and can attest to, is not an easy task a lot of times. And in spite of how difficult it usually is, I can say personally that the young people that I would have worked with over the last few days, specifically on this motion, were some young people that were diligent, some young people that understood whatever it was that was given to them and took the opportunity to create a platform or allow this platform to be used for their voices to be heard. That is not exclusive to those young people, however. It is replicated in every single one of you that has come out here today and has represented. And I know I have to take the time as well to acknowledge those young people who are here from the UGSS and have shown very brightly. I am extremely proud of you all. I want to say one thing before I conclude. The UGSS had the opportunity to give the opportunity to some of these young people. But what I want to say is that our organizations, our youth organizations have to continue to create a platform. So if you are in any of those youth organizations, don't let this be the end of your journey. Allow this platform that you've been given to create another platform for other young people that will come so that they can get the opportunities and benefit from such an important initiative as well. Remember our motto that says very clearly that we are to inspire, to encourage, and to impact, and allow that to be implemented into your everyday life. Thank you so much.
I recognize Ms. Ross, Honorable Ross. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the parliamentary staff and all the mentors and all the hard work that you have placed into having us all be here and present a great presentation for everyone. Secondly, I'd like to thank all of my colleagues and give you guys a tap on the shoulder, you just tap on this if you need to, for the great work that we have done and bringing back life into this youth parliament. Many have commended us on the great work we have done, from the drama to the points and motions that have been negative and moved. And the singing, as Messiah would have said. Yes, and thirdly, I'd like to thank all the MPs and visitors that have come to view in person. We truly appreciate your presence.
I thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say that I believe Mr. Gill peeped into my paper when I was writing this speech, because I would like to say that everyone today played a part to reinforce the motto, our generation, our voice, inspire, encourage, impact. We are grateful for the platform given to us, and we are proud to be taking away a beautiful experience such as everyone today displayed their talents. And like I would like to quote you. I hope nobody stands at point of order. But yes, everyone here is intelligent and continue to strive to be the individuals that you are today.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Dr. Hatton?
Madam Speaker, I rise on a point of order. No, today we have seen an exciting day of debate, and I wish to applaud each member of the Honorable House. Give yourself a round of applause. You have all done exceptionally well, and we first must understand and acknowledge the brilliance of the Speaker of the National Assembly for the initiative that went into the regions and saw the best of talents in the regions and brought the talents to Georgetown here to compete in this youth parliament. To the people who form debating teams just to be in youth parliament, congratulations, you have done well. And while I want to disagree with what the Honorable Member, Ms. Ross, would have said earlier about this being the best youth parliament, I can't, because really it shows that it really was. You have done extremely well. And what I am very happy about is the fact that I've seen persons from the very first time when they took part in their debates, and to see the growth from the regional competition to the growth we have seen here today deserves a round of applause. It's that growth, if I can speak for the Youth Parliament Organization, it's that growth that the Youth Parliament Organization supports. We want to invest in young people to give you the opportunity to use, whether it's 5 minutes or 6 minutes, to show off to Guyana that youth deserve a chance now, the future, and every time else. So congratulations, but we must give an applaud to the members that organize this event. Congratulations, youth parliamentarians. You are now into a very tight, tightly related family, because you are now youth parliamentarians, and you are now in a family that is well respected. Anytime anything is needed, you are going to be called upon first, whether it's to be mentors, whether it's to plan a surprise birthday party. We are going to celebrate with you, and this is the event, this is the opportunity you get. We have seen some amazing talents here today, and I can't help but think, what else is there in Guyana? Because I do believe the far better talents are not even sitting here as yet. So you are paving the way for the opportunities to be given to those people. A young lady sat next to me there, and she said she can't wait to try out next year. That, and a young man, the Honorable Member Wilson, messaged me just like this last year to tell me that he wants to be here. That is what Youth Parliament does. It motivates and encourages other persons to try out. Because when our honorable members, or the real Parliament, when they are no longer in those seats, it's people like you who will take up the opportunities, and this is the right forum to showcase your talents to this beautiful country. I thank you, for you have well represented the Youth Parliament.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hatton. And I too would like to say the same thing, well, to agree with your sentiments. We do try to have a forum for persons to develop themselves and to give them that platform and opportunity to do so. And that is what the Youth Parliament has always been about. Since I joined here, joined the Parliament office, this is one of the events that I always look forward to every year because of the growth that I'm seeing, as you mentioned. Another thing, I just wanted to, the young lady said, bringing back life, right? Bringing back life. I always thought that there was life, but we were just trying to, better it every year, which is what we were trying to do. But I understand where she was coming from because the enthusiasm has grown every year. Every year we're seeing more and more brighter and brighter individuals coming forward, and they're just brave, to be honest with you. So that is something that I really am happy to be a part of. And I encourage those persons out there, and the many persons that have been messaging, asking, how can we get into Youth Parliament? What can we do to be a part of this? As you know now, the regional debates, the Honorable Mansour Nadir would have instituted the regional debates, which then feeds into the nationals, which feeds into the Youth Parliament. So for those persons who wish to be a part of the Youth Parliament, that is the route you have to take. All right. But I see the judges are still tallying up the scores, and I see some current parliamentarians who would like to say a few words. So I would like to invite both of them to come and deliver brief remarks until we can get those scores. So without further ado, please put your hands together for the current members of Parliament.
Thank you very much, Mr. December. Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Speaker of the House, members of Parliament, members of this year's Youth Parliament, senior category. I am extremely happy to see all the faces. Above all, I was thrilled by the debates. I think you need to put your hands together for yourselves. One of the things I want to say this afternoon is that you have an opportunity. And that opportunity is that you are allowed to be part of a national youth debate in the National Assembly. Myself and other members of Parliament, we never had this opportunity. We emerged from political parties, we emerged from youth groups, and we came and we served this country. I want to say to you that you have a stepping stone, and use this stepping stone to the best of your ability. Guyana yearns for people like you. I believe that Guyana is in safe hands with youths like yourself coming forward. And debates and politics and all that surrounds it, it's not just for a day. And like somebody said this morning, it's not just for yourself, but it is for the betterment and the better good of the people and for the country. I want to encourage you. For those of you who want to become politicians like myself, as I stand, I'm one of Guyana's youngest members of Parliament, and I'm extremely happy to be in that position. And you too can become one of the youngest members of Parliament of this country. And I remember listening to Ms. Kelman, I get that correct, right? Ms. Kelman, and the Honorable Opposition Leader. And when I listened to them, I said, excellent. But today I listened to the Honorable Shadow Attorney General, and I say, bravo. I want to say to you, congratulations. And Guyana waits you for the development of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member Vince-Roy Jordan. I would like to invite the Honorable Ronald Scott to come and say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mr. December. The Honorable Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, of the 12th Parliament of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Kissoon, senior members of Parliament, other colleagues of the 12th Parliament, Speaker, Madam Speaker of the 8th Annual Youth Parliament, good afternoon to all of you. I first of all want to say that I am extremely impressed of the commitment you have displayed of your skills and your talent through your knowledge and your presentation. They were excellently done on both sides of the house. And so I want to put your hands for yourself. It is an indication of what you're doing here, of how the parliament operates and how democracy operates in a country like ours. And so for young people like you to come here to realize that is just an indication to you of what parliament, the functions of parliament in democracies, developing democracies like ours should be. Don't be fooled though that it's not always done that way, and it is not the best in the 12th parliament. However, it is what it is. And so I also want to say, I was here this morning and I witnessed the junior category, and I'm extremely proud of the representation, especially of the hinterland and indigenous people. And so also I want to congratulate the members of the organizing committee for this 8th annual Youth Parliament for carefully selecting the members and ensuring that those selected represent the wide-ranging regions across our beautiful Guyana. And so with that being said, I want you to go forward knowing the theme for this annual Youth Parliament says, or the motto, our generation, our voice, inspire, encourage, impact. I know you have been inspired, you have been encouraged, and very much impactful. I want you to now pass that on. I want you to inspire the others who are viewing this. I want you to encourage the others who are viewing this. And like somebody said earlier, there are persons who eagerly are waiting to ensure that their time comes to become a youth parliamentarian of this country. And so congratulations to all of you. And I'm sure that you have impacted the others. And next year, we'll have a better representation. Not to say that this wasn't better, but better in the sense that we always want to improve. Thank you.
I thank the honorable member. I would like to invite here for brief remarks Dr. Asha Kisoon, the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. She's going to present from where she is.
I'm so proud of all of you. Wow. Let me just say, the quality of discussions that I saw coming out from both sides today, it's just so overwhelming at the amount of work that you've put in. It showed clearly that you prepared well, you were dedicated, and you were knowledgeable about everything that you spoke on. Today, I'm going to remind you of something. Deep within you, when you take away the appearance, the makeup, the beauty, the handsomeness, your knowledge could never be taken from you. Your voice can never be taken from you. And I want you to use that. You've planted a seed here now as youth parliamentarians, and it's only going to grow further as you go forward and go on in life in your various fields. For whatever you aspire to do, take it with you and remember that your voice can make a difference. It's not always about the physical. It doesn't matter what background you come from. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Your knowledge and your intelligence is going to push you further into the various fields that you'd like to go into. Another thing I'm going to speak about is something that even my colleagues in government and opposition don't mention. You're government and opposition, but you're still friends. When you leave here, there isn't government side and opposition side. We're humans and we're all working together for the betterment of Guyana. We're all working together. We could stand on that floor and you'll hear the most awful things. You hear things about calls, singing, who's intellectually challenged, but don't take anything to heart. What happens on the floor stays on the floor. Don't hold feelings. It's easy to hold feelings. Don't follow some politicians. Let it all go. Your friends, build relationships, learn to rely on each other.
Because believe it or not, sometimes it's the same people who are on the opposite side that uphold you when you're falling down. Remember that as you go forward. And once again, I really congratulate all of you. And I'm just as excited to hear the outcome of the results right now as you are.
I thank the honorable member for her remarks. The judges are still tallying up. Just about 1 minute more. This is nail biting, isn't it? I know. I just would like to recognize I'm hearing from the Honorable Walter Lawrence that maybe they can come and sing a song or two. Anyways, I recognize someone else on the floor. And Miss Wilson, you may.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I must say congratulations to each and every one of you. I was sitting here in the public galleries yesterday and today, and I must say that I was enthralled with each of your presentations. I was hooked, and I was really proud of you. And there was one thing that I noticed throughout the night, staying at the hotels and even on the calls with some of you. You are very dedicated. You're a very dedicated group of young people, and you did this with no clear reward. You don't know who is going to be best speaker. You don't know who's going to be judged, if you're going to be judged the best debater, but you did it, and that took discipline. You didn't need the motivation. There's no reward, so you don't have that motivation, but you had the discipline. You stayed up, you worked diligently on your speeches, and that is extremely commendable. And that is not something you can only take from this. You can use that throughout your endeavors. When you have anything to do, do not depend on motivation, because your motivation, it will always fail, but your self-discipline, that is when that will come in. And I can see that you have reflected, you have shown that you have that discipline. And I just want to commend you. I want to congratulate you. And I want you to give yourself one more round of applause. Well, not a round, for your work, for your hard work. And I am looking forward to seeing each and every one of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilson. For those of you who may not know, Ms. Wilson herself was a former youth parliamentarian. She actually was a part of the 3rd Annual Youth Parliament, and that was in 2017. And since then, she has been helping out, being a mentor over the years, and providing the necessary help for the youth parliamentarians that she would mentor. So to you, I say thank you very much for your service. All right. And thank you very much for always coming back to us. And like we try to encourage each and every one of you, this is a family. We're a family, right? At the end of the day, we come here to present. We come here to not just, it's not just about being serious, but we also have fun while we're doing this. This is a part of life. This is how the world of work operates. There are times, and the judges just indicated to me that they're ready. So guess what? I'm going to stop right here, and I am going to introduce to you the first judge. I would like to introduce you. She is a current member of parliament on the opposition benches, and her name is Walter Lawrence. The honorable member, you may. You may give your brief remarks.
Never give a politician the microphone on when we didn't tell them before. notwithstanding members of Parliament, Deputy Speaker of the House, Speaker of the 8th Youth Parliament, clerks of the 8th Youth Parliament, honorable members of the government and opposition, good afternoon. Coming at the end is not easy. I think everything has been said. Let me just say a few things to you. When you step into this house, it is about country and people. As the first thing you must note. The second thing is that you have to understand that you are a representative for every little boy and every little girl out there, irrespective of divide, who you, through your actions, will help them to find their way. And also to say very loudly to them, you can do it. Yes, you can. I think all of you have shown that Guyana is still a beautiful place and we are still #1 in this region. You have given hope not only to the hopeless, but you've also given hope to those like me who have run the race and know that as we pass on the baton, that Guyana will shine brighter. I hold you responsible for taking Guyana to the next level. You are good, damn good. And I congratulate you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the honorable member. I would like to now introduce Dr. Jennifer Westford. She is a current member of parliament on the government benches. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Madam Deputy Speaker, Member of Parliament, Madam Speaker of the Youth Parliament, clerks, members of the opposition and the government of the Youth Parliament, staff of the National Assembly. Today, I'm so happy today. I have been privy to be present at other youth parliaments and to be officiating, but I can say, and I've been commenting to my colleague on my right or on my left. I think the members of the Guyana Defense Force would be ashamed when they hear, and I don't know my right and left. I have been commenting to her that this is so exciting. And someone said this was the best. And I want to side with it. This has been the best that I've heard for a long time. You were very good. You were exceptional. You were passionate. And you reminded me somewhat of being in Parliament. I would like to commend, I don't want to single out, all of you were good, but there's some of you who were exceptional. And being a practitioner of diplomacy, I don't think I want to mention anyone, to single out anyone today, but just pat yourselves on the back. You are exceptional. And I want to reiterate what the Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence, said. You are all, remember that you are all responsible for the well-being and welfare of all of your constituents. Because as a parliamentarian, it's not who voted for you. It's everyone you're responsible for when you enter into the halls of Parliament. I also want to say something that the Honorable Deputy Speaker said. At the end of the debates, at the end of the, I don't want to say abusing out, because we don't abuse out. We are very harsh, and we of the fun. At the end of it all, we are all citizens of this country. We are all parliamentarians. We all have a duty to work for the people of this country. You know, one day a man said to me, when we were here, we are not here anymore. I hope we get back here soon. Those chairs are very uncomfortable over there. I was sitting to that end where that young lady is there. And in the viewers gallery, a man said, wait, tell me something. We broke for lunch. So as we broke for lunch, everybody crossing. Government was there, opposition here. So we were talking and making fun. The man said, hold on. This is what these people got us doing. We fighting out there. Look at them inside here, having fun and laughing and talking with each other. So I said to him, I said, sir, your duty as a citizen is to be good and behave like the normal and a proper citizen of Guyana. We are very vociferous. We speak about what we want to say in here, but at the end of it all, we are not enemies in this house. We are parliamentarians, we're family, and we relate with each other. And you ought to learn that and you ought to know that. Going forward, I would hope some of the mentors who were here, that there were some hitches. There was some misunderstanding with some of your topics, especially with the legalization and medical, what is that? What was it? What was the thing? Legalization and medical use for medical purposes. I want to believe, based on listening to you, that you meant legalization for medical purposes. Is that so? But then how it is here, it is saying legalization and for medical purposes. But the debate went a little away from that. So, and there was the one with the sea defenses. With the sea defenses, we had some person speaking about internal drains and flooding and so. Sea defenses and internal drains, they're two separate things. So those are little things. Don't be afraid. It happens. It happens with us too. Don't be afraid. Misinterpretations happen with us. Sometimes it's deliberate, on our part. On our part, sometimes it's deliberate, But those are little things that is very, very important. Because always remember, people out there are listening to us. It's not about us in the house, it's about the people out there listening. And if we mislead them, you know what happens when the public gets misled. So, but I must say, I am comfortable. I feel more comfortable knowing that I think I'm tired after 23 years of sitting and listening to yes, no, agreed, not agreed, division. Those are words. Sometimes you wake up and you hear division, right? I feel so happy that I am going to be passing the baton to younger persons who are going to be there and that we will be able to take this country where it needs to go. Where it needs to go. We are hearing preaching of one Guyana. I think we are going to see the one Guyana. When you take over, when you people take over, I will be in my rocking chair and listening to the debates and be happy about what's going on. So congratulations. Congratulations. You have done well. You surely have done well. Keep the good work up. Don't just fall by the wayside now. Keep aspiring to do what you would have started. And you have a far way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Valerie Korsami, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. All protocols observed. Wow. It's a whole new experience for me. But being in Parliament, judging the various debating competitions, from the Speaker of the House debating competition, I was it didn't take me long to acclimatize. As someone neutral, as I was so described, I am a Guyanese. I am a leader in the education sector. I'm listening to both sides and I'm reflecting on Parliament in the past and how it operates when motions have to be moved. I also know that when certain motions are moved, there are lots of picketing and proposals and lots of things go on. But all the comments that have been given are endorsed. I would like to say on my view of it, I believe there should be less reading. As ministers, senior representatives of Parliament, I expect less dependence on notes. You would notice that those who spoke and understood their point and understood their stand delivered far better than those who are reading. So take that in your heart. Even though it may have been a practice, you may see it, it's still worthy to note this, read less, speak more, and make a greater impact. There are times when the opposition sounds like the government, and there are times when the government sounds like the opposition. The other thing I notice is cohesion and collaboration, because when one speaker make a profound point that could take the motion to being accepted, there were weaknesses with other speakers putting it down. So I believe in the process of preparation on both sides. There should be some time when everybody listened to everybody. It didn't come across to me that that was done maybe because of time. And so some were really, really not in sync with the leader of the opposition, who could have thrown out all the points on one of the motion, but other speakers on the opposition side did not allow that to go forward. So in saying those, giving those few comments, I also would like to say, before I give the score, which I know will close everything off in a good way, because the judges work, and I believe we had no debate of drawing conclusions as to who won the motion. There was such synchrony in that direction. And for that, I'm very happy, because I'm sandwiched by two, veterans in the political arena. So I was very, very careful in listening and making decisions. I want to say this, and I've heard it being amplified. And I want to say it with all sincerity in my heart, for whatever it will do for our country, Guyana. Don't ever forget that you are not representing you. When you're in this parliament, my expectation as a citizen, as I switch position, is to hear you representing me. And therefore, you always have to be careful that you don't allow your personal agenda to interfere with the representation that you're making for the people. Therefore, we have to still be careful that politics, in my understanding, and I will say this anywhere in the world, it's not entertainment. Politics is not entertainment. It is not a game. We do not play with people's lives. So we have to be careful as we represent, that we represent holistically and represent our people. I don't know if it's protocol, I don't know if it's practice, but I was just wondering if this roof would have been split open. If at any point in time, one or two members from the government could have said, I agree with the opposition. I know abstention is not agreement. And therefore, this is what I believe for Guyana. I believe if you're making sense and it's valid and it's going to serve this nation, we should have some level of agreement. So I don't know if we were trained to let you know, be known, yes, BS. But for future, I believe we will go forward and it will truly be one Guyana. That being said, let me give you the best speakers for day one. The best speakers for day one, full agreement among judges. Opposition is no other than the leader of the opposition, Ms. Carson. This young lady has a very far way to go, and may I say, in politics. The best speaker yesterday for the government is no other than the Prime Minister, Nicholas Sagadea. Today, for the three motions presented by speakers, the opposition best speaker is given to no other than the opposition, Nadia Rizal Mirage. And the best speaker for the government is given to no other than Ms. Jasmine Hackett. For motion number one, which was the development of Guyana, human resources is oil and gas. The winner of that motion is the government. Second motion, poverty alleviation through tax relief program. The winner of the motion is no other than the opposition. Motion number three, the implementation of a sea defense strategy. The winner of that motion, which is motion number three, was won by the government. Motion number four, increase accessibility to programs for special needs youth. The winner of that motion today is the opposition. And motion number five, legislation. Well, you got a correction. Somehow somebody will rectify that, but as it reads, legislation and medical use of marijuana in Guyana. Legalization and medical use of marijuana. This one came so close that the difference that occur among the judges is a 0.2. Is a 0.2. However, the 0.2 made a big difference. And I know you're waiting to hear this one. Give a rousing round of applause for the winner today of having motion number 5 being accepted in Parliament, the 8th Annual Youth Parliament. It's no other than the opposition. Thank you all so much for this opportunity. Oh, well, the overall. upon quick consultation, and we do apologize for the lack of knowledge. We will give the overall winner for the 8th Annual Youth Parliament. 2 speakers stood out among all the excellent speakers. Is the leader of the opposition, Ms. Carissa McClure, and for the government, standing out among all the excellent speakers is no other than the Prime Minister, Nicholas Sagadi. They were well chosen to lead, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kursami Smith. So there we have it, folks. I trust that everything learned during this period would be taken into your life, and that you would also share it with anyone and everyone. So on behalf of the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Mansour Nadir, Clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Sherlock Isaacs, the Parliamentary Executive Officer, Ms. Scarlett Charles, staff of the Parliament Office, mentors, our technical team at the back there, the Sergeant at Arms for both the senior and the junior categories, parliamentarians, youth parliamentarians for the 8th Annual Youth Parliament, both the junior and senior categories, and to the current members of parliament, both from both the opposition and government and opposition benches, also former youth parliamentarians. I would like to say thank you very much for your overwhelming support. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much to the online viewers who've been following. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your feedback. And I just want to let you know that your feedback will be utilized for future youth parliaments. Right? And that is something we've been doing every year. So we do take into account your feedback. Thank you very much for being respectful. And to everyone that shared the live, I would like to say thank you very much for doing that, because what you're doing is you are advertising future leaders. So with that, I would like to say, like a former employer of mine, goodbye for now.
We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it. and we mean to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no more. We ain't giving up no dream. We ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one crush, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no more.